Let's start with a detail that might have slipped past the casual observer in the midst of all the recent chaos. I keep coming back to the sudden, almost frantic departure of Ethan Lovett. Ethan has always been a man who lives on the periphery, a grifter with a silver tongue who knows exactly how to manipulate a situation to his advantage. We just watched him take a bullet to the butt to protect Ava Jerome. We watched him drag Ava to Sonny Corinthos' gallery, leveraging his position, playing the angles, and acting as an emissary for a mob boss. He was deeply embedded in the current drama, heavily intertwined with the mystery of Phoebe's paternity and Ava's relentless, fierce interrogation. And then, just like that, he is forced to flee. Someone from his past is chasing him, and he has to make a rapid, desperate escape. Something about that moment stayed with me. I couldn't stop thinking about it. At first, it didn't seem important. Ethan running away is practically a character trait at this point. He is a survivor, and survivors run when the heat gets too high. But the sheer velocity of his exit, the absolute panic that seemed to drive him out of town, felt entirely different this time. It wasn't the calculated retreat of a con artist moving on to a fresh mark. It was the terrified sprint of a man who knows a predator has finally caught his scent. It felt like a massive red flag waving in the background of all the other Port Charles drama. The more I think about it, the more I realize that Ethan's sudden disappearance cannot be viewed in a vacuum. You have to look at what is approaching on the horizon. We know that on July 30th, a man named Hudson is set to arrive in Port Charles. The whispers describe him as a mysterious business executive with deep, unknown connections. More importantly, he is coming to town looking for a specific person. When you place these two events side by side, Ethan fleeing in terror from someone in his past, and a powerful, enigmatic businessman arriving to hunt someone down, the pieces start to snap together. It doesn't seem accidental. You don't introduce a wealthy, calculating, executive right as a slippery character like Ethan is forced to vanish into thin air. Hudson isn't here for a vacation at the Metro Court, and he isn't here to casually invest in local real estate. He is hunting, and Ethan Lovett seems to be the prey. But why? What could a global business executive want with a localized hustler? The disparity in their apparent status is what makes this so intriguing. There is a history there, a dark, tangled past that we haven't been privy to yet. Perhaps Ethan stumbled onto a secret that could ruin Hudson's empire. Or perhaps it is deeply personal. We know Ethan confessed and then frantically denied being the biological father of baby Phoebe while bleeding out at the gallery. Ava is so obsessed with this mystery, she is considering stealing DNA. What if Hudson is Phoebe's true father? If Ethan claimed a child that wasn't his, or hid a child from a powerful man, this level of personal betrayal fuels Hudson's arrival, making his vendetta explosive. But this is where the story shifts from a simple chase into something much grander. If you ask me, this isn't just a personal vendetta between a mysterious executive and a runaway grifter. There is a shadow beneath the story, a secondary narrative that is slowly bleeding into the main canvas. Hudson is described as a businessman, a man who understands power, leverage, and the acquisition of territory. You don't walk into a town like Port Charles with that kind of profile and just settle a personal grudge. You look at the landscape, you evaluate the local power structure. And when you look at the criminal and business landscape of Port Charles, one massive, undeniable obstacle blocks the sun: Sonny Corinthos. Sonny is currently in a phase of aggressive consolidation. He is working tirelessly to regain his absolute power after the chaos with Jen Sidwell. He has ADA Justine Turner sharing his bed, providing a complicated but useful connection to the legal system. He has Rick Lansing managing his legal loopholes, ensuring his operations remain insulated from prosecution. And he has Brick, his fiercely loyal intelligence operative, ready to dig up dirt or sabotage anyone who crosses Sonny's path. Even with Jason Morgan returning from his WSB captivity as a changed man, a man who has explicitly told Sonny he wants to step back from the mob to prioritize his son, Danny, we all know the unspoken truth. Jason just took the fall for Rocco Falconeri shooting Ross Cullum to protect Sonny's nephew. If Sonny is truly threatened, if his life or his empire is on the line, Jason will not hesitate to stand by his brother's side. Sonny's fortress appears completely impenetrable. So, where does Ethan fit into this impenetrable fortress? Ethan was actively working for Sonny just before he fled. He was the one who dragged Ava Jerome to Sonny's gallery meeting, acting as a direct associate for the mob boss. If Hudson is hunting Ethan, his investigation will inevitably trace Ethan's last known movements right to Sonny's doorstep. What if we're missing something crucial here? What if Hudson believes that Sonny didn't just employ Ethan, but is actively hiding him? Or worse, what if Hudson believes Sonny knows the dark secrets Ethan has been carrying? In the mind of a ruthless businessman, an associate of your enemy is your enemy. I keep wondering whether Hudson will simply give up and leave town when he realizes Ethan has successfully skipped out of Port Charles. Maybe. He doesn't. It's possible that a man like Hudson doesn't just pack up his briefcases and fly back to wherever he came from when his primary target vanishes. Instead, he pivots. He looks at the man who sheltered his prey. He looks at Sonny Corinthos. If Hudson is truly looking to build his own empire in Port Charles, taking down the reigning king would be the ultimate power move. Why settle for a grifter when you can dethrone the boss? But Hudson is smart. A high-level executive doesn't wage a reckless frontal assault on a fortified mob boss who has the police, the legal system, and lethal enforcers in his pocket. He knows that attacking Sonny directly while Jason, Rick, and Brick are circling the wagons would be corporate and literal suicide. He needs an equalizer. He needs to build a coalition. He needs someone who knows the local terrain, someone who has the resources to match Sonny, someone who hates Sonny Corinthos just as much as he might, and someone who operates with the same cold, calculated precision. That brings me to Valentine Cassadine. The more I look at the board, the more Valentine stands out as the perfect, perhaps the only, candidate for this role. Think about where Valentine is right now. He is currently the target of Sonny's petty, vindictive wrath. Because Carly Spencer has chosen to pursue a romance with Valentine, Sonny has officially tasked Brick with digging up dirt to sabotage their relationship. Brick has already delivered a USB drive full of incriminating evidence to Carly, a secret she is currently keeping from Valentine. Sonny is actively trying to ruin Valentine's life out of sheer jealousy and a need for control. Valentine is a man who just survived a deadly high-stakes game of chess with the WSB, Ross Cullum, and Jack Brennan. He exposed double agents, brokered deals with Z in Geneva, and maneuvered his way out of a seemingly impossible corner. He is a master strategist, a man who thrives in the shadows. Currently, Valentine is distracted by a mysterious black box he found at Windermere, trying to hatch a deal to protect himself and get revenge on Jack Brennan. He is juggling too many threats. Imagine the scenario that is quietly forming in the background. Hudson, a man with endless resources and a burning need to establish dominance, crossing paths with Valentine Cassadine, a man who is actively being hunted and harassed by Sonny's intelligence network. I can't shake the feeling that these two men are destined to collide, not as enemies, but as the most dangerous allies Port Charles has seen in years. Maybe there's another layer here. Maybe Hudson doesn't just want Sonny out of the way. Maybe he wants to absorb Sonny's entire infrastructure, and he knows Valentine holds the keys to the city's underground architecture. If Hudson steps into this chaotic mix, he could offer Valentine the exact resources and backing needed to crush Jack Brennan and Sonny Corinthos simultaneously. The tension here isn't about a sudden, fiery explosion on the docks or a shocking shootout at the Metro Court. It's about the slow, methodical tightening of a noose. It's the psychological dread of knowing a trap is being set while the prey remains completely oblivious. Sonny thinks he is untouchable right now. He is celebrating the downfall of Jen Sidwell, sipping drinks, sharing passionate moments with Justine Turner, and casually giving orders to Brick to ruin Valentine's love life. Sonny's hubris is at an all-time high. He is completely unaware that his petty actions might be the exact catalyst that pushes Valentine right into the arms of a dangerous new arrival. If Hudson approaches Valentine with a mutually beneficial proposition, a partnership built on immense wealth, mutual enemies, and a shared desire to systematically dismantle Sonny Corinthos' empire, the power dynamics of Port Charles will shift overnight. Valentine has the local knowledge, the tactical brilliance, the history of surviving impossible odds, and the ruthlessness required to take on a mob boss. Hudson brings fresh capital, unknown global connections, a clean slate, and a burning motivation. Together, they wouldn't just challenge Sonny, they could orchestrate a hostile takeover of his entire life. They could neutralize Brick's intelligence network, outmaneuver Rick Lansing in the boardroom and the courtroom, and create a scenario where even Jason Morgan's lethal loyalty wouldn't be enough to save the Corinthos Empire. This wouldn't be a street war. It would be a surgical dismantling of everything Sonny has built. We aren't seeing the war yet. We are just seeing the heavy, dark storm clouds gathering on the horizon. Ethan's desperate, frantic flight from Port Charles was merely the first domino falling in a very long, very complex chain. Hudson's plane landing on the tarmac on July 30th will be the second. The pieces are slowly, silently moving into position across the board, and nobody in Port Charles seems to realize that the rules of the game have fundamentally changed. Sonny is looking in the wrong direction, entirely focused on his romantic sabotage of Carly and Valentine, while a legitimate existential threat unpacks his bags in a luxury suite. Valentine is guarding his own secrets, trying to decode a mysterious black box and protect his fragile future with Carly, completely unaware that a powerful stranger might soon knock on his door and offer him the ultimate weapon against his greatest rival. Something feels unfinished. The air in Port Charles is thick with anticipation, heavy with the weight of secrets that are about to be unearthed. We are walking down a dark, quiet hallway, and with every step we take, the outline of this massive, looming conflict becomes just a little bit clearer. I don't know exactly when the first shot will be fired, or if Ethan Lovett will ever be dragged back into the light to face whatever he was running from. But the board is set. The players are taking their seats, and the true game, the game is just beginning.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.